Yes, Mr. MK. How are you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. Little bit of a long morning, but
Yeah, hour and a half journey, right?
hour and a half journey north to south, but
Okay.
chill.
So what have we got here?
So here we have a what I consider to be a legendary car, quite unknown, but very well known amongst the car enthusiasts. It's an E87 130i
Okay.
from 2005.
Right. Okay. So what engine has that got?
So engine, we have the N52. Some people consider it the baby brother of the N54. Naturally aspirated 6-cylinder engine, coming with out of the factory 262 horsepower.
Wow. Okay. So we've got a 3-litre engine in quite a small body car.
Yeah.
And yeah, 260 horsepower. So at the time, it would be competing with like a Golf R32.
Yeah, it was literally at the time. So you can see Top Gear videos around the time. It was competing with that. They had the different trade-offs. That was all-wheel drive. This is rear-wheel drive. But yeah, it's generally a peach of an engine. Looks really nice when you open up the hood, you see this, what typically a very everyday traffic 1 Series, and then you see this little bad boy in here.
Yeah. I agree. I think at the time, so my S3 is 2008.
Yep.
That was making 265 at
Yeah.
that time as well. So again, similar power. But yeah, I think they're definitely underrated.
Definitely underrated. There's not that many in the UK, because what happened was there was this listed for about £30,000, and then at the time you could buy a 335i for like 35, 37. So a lot of people just went for the 3 Series for the coupe, and it was like, why'd you get a 1 Series? So this is actually quite a well-spec car. It was custom made. Someone custom ordered it from the factory. It wasn't a showroom car. So it has a bit of a weird package that we can talk about later. But yeah, it's my baby.
So how much are these currently?
I think currently, if you want a really good one with like all the nice bells and whistles, because you could spec out BMWs, them being them. For a good specs one, under 80k, you're looking for around 9-10 grand.
Okay.
If you just want something that's been properly driven, maybe it has halogens, has like just a bit of standard everyday things, you can get them for about 5-6. Generally, the 2005 ones and the 2006 ones go for a lot more, purely for this little thing here, which is hydraulic steering. Because you had electric steering rack come in 2007, which neutered the car's driving experience, but also because of emission stuff, they cut down the power by about 15 horsepower.
No way.
So 2005, 2006 was the sweet spot for this car. Also, it's a bit more in road tax, but you win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So is the newer ones the N53?
No, so all throughout the
N52.
entire life of this car, so which I think is about till 2009, 2010, I'm not exactly sure, it was all N52. Okay. You can tell if you've got the newer engine with electric, if you've got a black rocker cover gasket. If you've got a grey one, you've got the OG.
Nice. Just have a look at that engine bay again. Beautiful. In terms of modifications, what have you done?
So, they're tasteful modifications. So what we like to put under the sub-brand of OEM Plus. This is also an NA car, so power kind of limited. So in terms of under the hood, very, very light. All right, I've got a K&N air filter in here. Right, and the only thing is I've got an intake boot that is from Mishimoto. It's a silicone intake boot. You take a little pan of it, you can see it here. It just apparently streamlines the air into it. You can see it like right here.
Oh yeah.
But apart from that, not much else. That's all under the engine. Not much else to do apart from like doing like headers and stuff. This car came as a halogen spec, which is weird. You'll find out later. So I could have gone the Xenon route, but there were 250 aside, not excluding wiring, not excluding ballast, and I am young and cheap. So Depot V2s from a company called M Sport up in Ilford. They're fine. They're not the brightest, but the main thing I wanted. Yeah, the main thing is that they got angel eyes. They're still using halogen bulbs. It does the job, and I think they look miles better than any original halogens out there. They're not the brightest, but I still think it gives the car a little bit of a cuter look. In terms of exterior, I think that's about it for the front.
Have you done any like exhaust work?
Yeah, exhaust work. So, NA car.
Yeah.
We got natural throttle response. So, the E82 135i back box with its tip fitted onto the car. Surprisingly easy retrofit. It just takes a couple hanger adjustments, which I did at Not my favourite place, fast lane. What's it called? Fast lane?
I've heard of them, fast lane.
Somewhere in
Performance or
Ilford, but
something,
yeah, anyway. And then I've done a mid resonator delete with a Y pipe to essentially just get a little bit more of that burble and back shots? Not back shots.
No, that's not the right one.
What's the backfire?
Backfire.
Yeah. So 05 car came with a lot of the, you know, pre-LCI stuff. If you see 1 Series around, I don't see any around, they came with these fat indicator things.
Yeah.
So I bought some LCI tail lights, little bit skinnier. They came in LEDs, but again, the car's not wired for LED. They look better, slight adjustment in the wiring loom. I think that's about it for there. Let's hold on to the interior and show you what's done inside. Oh, actually, I've got one thing. So this car, being like 2005 and like the transition of like tech is slowly emerging, one thing I have fitted into the car, excuse the bit of a poor boot, if you can see back here, this is a 335i's, doesn't matter what it's a 335, it's called a MOLF2 module that essentially makes the car communication a lot more reliable and then adds Bluetooth for calling, which is a really nice feature.
Yeah, that's cool.
Let's head on inside.
We got the 6-speed manual.
Yeah.
Old school.
So, first things first, 6-speed manual.
Yep.
If you're gonna get this car, get in a manual. Automatics generally weren't that great at this time.
Did the facelift get the DCT?
No,
Was that the
none of the cars
135?
got DCT.
Not even the 135?
I think the 135 definitely has DCT, but
Yeah.
I don't think this particular chassis had DCT.
Okay.
Anyway, in terms of interior, surprisingly, the person specifically spec'd a screen into this car.
Really cool.
All right, and it flips up. It's a little bit temperamental, but you know, I can do little things like check the oil. It's a bit slow, info sources, service. It's actually, fun fact, first generation iDrive.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that as complicated. Look, I can check the oil and stuff and like adjust treble and bass. But anyway.
Yeah, so the power's definitely top end. It's quick. It's good fun.
It's really fun when you're just like on like mountain roads or like country roads and you're basically just like, here I'm teetering in third, but I can teeter in like, this isn't the road to ideally I want to be around 4,000 RPM, so if I put my foot down I can get like, that was a 2,500 like foot
Still
down.
does that instant pushback.
Yeah, which is something nice about NA. So it's like, if I'll try to gain a bit of space. 4,000 RPM, which is what I'll be in country roads. And then you're doing that and you're going third, fourth, fifth, down 3/2. So
When you're rowing through the gears, that's when it's like fully on it. Okay, so just trying a quick drive out in the 130i. Immediately the clutch is quite heavy.
You'll give it a little bit more like throttle, otherwise it will stutter. Steering.
Because I'm so used to driving the S3 and everything in that is so light, this feels fucking like a truck. It feels heavy.
It's a unit. It's like
Yeah.
a tonk, and that's the beauty of it, because you have beautiful handling.
Yeah.
You have beautiful, like, you feel planted. You feel that your car's secure, and even if it does, like, you know, be naughty a little bit, you know, you can, like, you know, whip it back. I feel comfortable foot down around this corner.
Jesus. You know what? It's a nice drive, and I can see why people, you know, rave about BMWs being like drivers' cars.
Not anymore.
Well, the new M3s, I would still say they're the top in class.
Yeah, of all the Germans, but the way BMW cared about driver authentic experience now versus, or this generation versus now, leagues different.
Yeah.
I think the main thing is, it's just because of natural things like fighting emissions, electric vehicle regulations, things like that obviously have massive pressure and sway on car companies.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, as things have become more efficient, like if you can do something a lot more efficient with a little bit of electrics, you would do it.
Yeah.
And because these cars are, what's the best way to do it? There's very little. Obviously, you can go to the 60s cars and have this tenfold, but this is like a sweet spot of there's very little between you and the road. Like you are very, whether it's your clutch, whether it's the steering wheel, whether it's the chassis, you feel tethered to this road. You feel like you know what's going on. Newer cars, it feels like a little bit of an airplane.
Yeah. Here, maybe it's frustrating having a rear-wheel drive car in winter.
It is.
You can't drive it properly.
Imagine Wales, summer,
Yeah.
cliffside.
Yeah. Like when we took the cars out, we went to towards Bristol. That was a good day.
Yeah.
Weather was good. Like here in the ST or in the S3, you have more confidence on a day like this. But then on a dry day, I don't think it would really matter. Like,
The step down is different.
yeah.
Like the disparity between the different types of conditions doesn't disparage you that much. Whereas on this car, I think it's, you know, obviously that is a natural weakness, but it's how a lot of these like 1Ms, all these rear wheel drive cars, they're touted as you need to keep them in check.
Yeah.
And that's what gives you the thrill of the driver's experience.
100%. I mean, it's a double-edged sword, right? So the benefit is that you do get that spiky handling, but then, you know, you can crash it pretty much.
Yep.
But a lot of people crash S3s and Golf Rs as well because they think they're invincible. They, you know, lift off in the middle of a corner or just don't take enough care when driving, and that's what happens.
How does the handling feel to you? The suspension?
It feels tight, it feels nice. Obviously, I haven't really driven it fast enough to kind of feel it properly, but going in like gentle curves and stuff, the steering's doing exactly what I want it to do. It feels like so natural, especially compared to Audis. For me, it takes like a minute to adapt to the Audi driving style, whereas this, look, I've just jumped in and it just feels so natural, like everything I'm expecting the car to do is doing. Yeah, it's fun, it's a lot of fun. The rear end is nicely located in the chassis, the front end is tied in, and bearing in mind we've got run flats on the rear, and it still feels good, and the tread's low on the rear as well, but the front end's really impressing me right now. I mean, the rev matching as well feels great.
Reliable.
How good's the traction control? Should I feed it in?
Feed it in. You can put foot down, it won't slip out randomly.
So I drove my mate's M140 Stage 2.
Yeah,
That had, I think it was on DTC. Second gear, I was feeding it in and it was still slipping.
this isn't as bad. You don't have that much power to control.
I mean, that's like, yeah, like double the power, so it's fucking ridiculous.
On straight lines, if you got a bit of slip, generally you'll have like a moment of slipping from like just variations in the road.
Yeah.
It's only, I'm telling you, you do like a second gear like pull with slightly the wheel turn, you are having fun.
Yeah, I mean, I drove a 911 Carrera S, that's about 410 horsepower on a dry day, and I was in second gear, full flat down, third gear, no problem at all, and they've got fat rear tyres.
Yeah.
But this, I think just because of the conditions, I feel more nervous in this than in the 911, and obviously because it's my friend's car as well, so with the 911 I was a bit more comfortable, but it's definitely like more down to the conditions than anything else. I think I'm more interested in buying an E46 M3 now, because
And that is genuinely like 1.5 to 2 times the level of feel, power, everything. It is this at its true piece form, and that's why it's touted as the best M3.
like, that's what I'm thinking. This is good. Now imagine the M version of this, which is like, for me, it would be, I'll go for an M3. So I'm just thinking of how good that car would be. And for me, because I don't have a lot of experience with rear wheel drive, like I've driven E63s, 911s, M3s, whatever, but I just feel like I still haven't mastered driving a rear-wheel drive car every day. So at M3, I think like an E46 should theoretically be a good start, because it hasn't got a lot of torque to spin up the wheels, and it's one of the best handling chassis out there. So
that car stock as well, because it was built for power, built for that speed, it is well matched.
Exactly.
It's got the tyres, it's got the width, it's a treat.
Yeah, I'm really impressed by the brakes and the steering. It's a great car.
I did a brake fluid service. I've got aluminium braided brake lines, just to give it that little bit more, just like that little
bite. It's got a nice bit of bite. That downshift is so good. Like, you just blip it and it's perfect. The rev matching is so good. Other cars I've struggled with rev matching sometimes, but this is just so natural. Everything is just how I would expect it to be, and it feels great. Right now the fog is ridiculous, so I'm not going to take the piss. Christmas Eve as well.
Yep.
So Merry Christmas. Yeah, bloody hell, what a good car. You've got a really nice car here.
Literally, so would you say you fall under the camp of, you see the car, you know it's a nice car, you drive the car, you have a different level of feelings towards it?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the cars that I like are overwhelming in some aspects. So with this, everything's synchronized.
Yeah, I would argue that it is. Once you get used to it, I am underwhelmed. I want more power. I want more fear. But for what it is, it's great.
This feels like it rolled out of the factory yesterday, and it's quick enough. Like, for me, I'm learning the car, so it still feels very fun. But you've owned it for 3 years. Is that right? 3 years?
3 years.
3 years. So obviously you might be a bit underwhelmed, but for me, it's like kind of perfect right now.
But all right, so there's been a lot of positives. Anything that you're just glaring out, like we've talked about, is slightly underwhelming. The fact that it actually hits all bases quite well.
Yeah.
Anything else that stands out to you that's like?
I think, obviously, maybe,
it's hard to critique something that does everything okay and good.
Yeah, I would say for me, the only issue that I've always had with these cars is the looks. I'd say, I don't know, not really my thing with the looks. But I think that's the only thing I can kind of say that's negative about the car, and that's so like, you know, everyone's got different tastes, so it doesn't really matter. What else? The gear shift's nice. I've been driving it for a few minutes now, and I like it. Yeah, I like it, I'll be honest.
You're having a brilliant time.
This might be a gateway drug for me, like into the M world. That's how I see it. It's a gateway drug, and I really enjoy it. One thing I would like to see in this though is a hard cut limiter, because I noticed when I was getting closer to the limiter, it was
soft,
gently feeding off. I really like this. It feels so natural. Like,
it's so smooth.
it's smooth. It feels fast enough, you know.
I think you can be a little bit less gentle with it.
You reckon?
Yeah. Famous last words.
You know what it is? Because it's not my car, and I've seen some of my other friends write off other people's cars, not naming any names. But yeah, that's why I'm just being a bit careful. What's the biggest issue for you as an owner? You've had it for 3 years. What's the biggest issue with this car?
Definitely. So obviously, I think this car is well suited for someone who lives in the countryside, because this car does not want to stay under 20. We live in London.
Yeah.
And especially with the suspension, it is a pain. You have to take bumps slow. You feel every divot in the road. Bloody, even the speed camera markings, you feel the dun 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 dun, which is like, it's fine on country roads because you want to feel the car. Like, I love every time I feel a car, I understand what the car's going. I understand what the car's thinking. I can react accordingly. But when you're driving in London trying to go from A to B, I'm like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Just be like slow, be comfortable, be softer, be like, you know. And obviously I can change that with like less run flats. Fuel consumption, especially, that goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
Even if you're trying to go from like 10 to 20, the minute you're like at 4,000 RPM, you're at an average of 8 mpg. I think daily driving, so my drive here was through London, which was about an hour and a half drive. At average was about 21. If you're being quite nice and you actually respect, you know,
Where's your hazard lights actually?
you respect it, you can get about 40, 45 on the motorway, which is...
Oh wow, that's really good. All right guys, so I'm going to summarize this car real quick. As a driving experience, especially like as your first rear-wheel drive car or first BMW, I'm shocked with how good it is. On a dry day, I know I would have loved it even more. I don't even know what to say is wrong with it, because if you're buying this car, you know it's going to have bad fuel economy. You know it's going to be more expensive to maintain than a Ford Fiesta. You're not buying this car for good fuel economy, and you're not buying this car for it to be cheap to run. You're in this because you know it's a performance car, so I can't even say that's a negative. The steering, so impressive.
You can see why the electric is such a downgrade.
Yeah, 100%. The suspension, for me, I know you were saying it's uncomfortable, but you have to remember all the cars that I've had have been a lot more uncomfortable than this. So for me, the ride quality is amazing. I would say the EP3, the suspension on them is weirdly good, like Rolls-Royce good. So I'd say ride quality is a bit better there, but this feels more purposeful. It feels like a sporty car with good suspension, expensive suspension. The brakes, obviously I didn't press them too hard, but when I was going around the bends just before I was braking, it felt really nice, really sharp. I knew exactly what they were doing. Everything in this car is progressive. You know, to the powertrain, steering, braking, even the rev matching. It's like you can try and rev match it badly and it will still turn out fine. Yeah, man, I think
I'm just like, have a look at this dash.
it's not bad.
No, but I'm just saying, it's quality and looks and condition. 20 years old.
Yeah, I mean, comparing it to my EP3, which is also about 20 years old, you know, there's a big difference in quality. Like here, it feels like you're in a German car, right? But it's also got that excellent handling. I would say it's not as much of a visceral experience as the Type R's. They're more raw, but I think that's only because of the engine. The chassis in this is leagues above an EP3. It's just the engine, and I can't even say the engine. The engine when it's matte, like a standard EP3 before it's matte, is underwhelming to me. I've had 3 EP3s, one of them being matte. That was the only one that I really, really liked. So this, as a car that's not got a hard cut limiter, isn't stupidly loud, and isn't stupidly powerful, it makes you appreciate everything else about the car. So if you're thinking of buying one, do it. You know, they're about half the price of an E46 M3. So is it half the car? No, I don't think it is. It's probably about 60-65% of a E46 M3, which is really, really good. So thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.